text. Hello, Year 4. This is the class text, the Rotten Romans for the 26th of January 2021. Right, last time we were talking about games that the Roman children would play. In this chapter, we're going to look at the games that grown-ups used to play as well. So, here we go. The Romans enjoyed their circuses, but they weren't the sort of family day out that we have at the circus today. No clowns, no jugglers, no tightrope walkers. Instead, there was lots of violence, blood, and death. Augustine of Hippo wrote a book in which he told of his disgust at the bloodshed. His friend, Alpius, was taken to a Roman circus by some student friends. He set off for the circus, a real wimp. A band of trumpets played, bets were placed, and the fighting began. He shut his eyes tightly, determined to have nothing to do with these horrors. If only he had closed his ears as well. The fight drew a great roar from the crowd. This thrilled him so deeply that he could not contain his curiosity. When he saw the blood, it was as though he had drunk a deep cup of savage passion. Instead of turning away, he fixed his eyes upon the scene and drank in all its frenzy. He revelled in the wickedness of the fighting and was drunk with the fascination of the bloodshed. Julius Caesar, on the other hand, became a bit bored with the fighting and the dying. Long before the end of a contest, he would begin reading reports and writing letters. This did not make him very popular with some of the spectators in the crowd. So, gruesome gladiators. Here are 10 terrible truths. Number 1, the Romans brought the gladiator fights to Britain. Battles between teams of armed men of whom half would be sure to lose their lives. Number 2, the idea of fighting and killing as a game probably began at funerals. The Roman Tertullian said, once upon a time, people believed that the souls of the dead were kept happy with human blood, and so at funerals they sacrificed prisoners of poor quality. These sacrifices changed into fights to the death between two men at a funeral. They became so popular that they were taken away from the funeral and put in a huge arena. The fighters became known as gladiators. Number 3, in Rome there had been schools of gladiators, where a slave could train and fight for a gladiator master. If he won enough battles and murdered enough opponents, he would win a fortune and his freedom. The greatest prize was the wooden sword, which was a symbol of freedom. Nutty Nero even ordered a battle between a woman and a dwarf as a special spectacle. Number 5, when a victim fell in a fight, an attendant would smack him on the head with a hammer to make sure he was dead. Number 6, if a fighter gave up exhausted, he could surrender. The emperor would then decide if he deserved to live or not. The crowd would usually tell him by screaming, "Vita, let him go," or "La Gulia, kill him." The emperor would signal his decision with his thumb. Thumb down for death, or thumb up for life. And this is a sign that we still use today, isn't it? Question 7. Some of the bloodiest battles. Question number 7. Some of the bloodiest battles were between criminals who were under sentence of death anyway. They fought till there was no one left. An unarmed man was put in the ring with an armed man who then killed him. The armed man was then disarmed and the next man killed him. And so it went on. As soon as one victim fell, another one was put in the ring. Number 8. There's not much evidence to show that the Romans in Britain brought the sort of wild animals to the arena that they brought to Rome itself. Number 9. There would be bears from Scotland, which were chained to a post and tormented for the entertainment of the crowd. And number 10. Back in Rome, they would have seen the following. Elephants fight against armed men, until one day the elephants crashed through iron railings and trampled the crowd. Caesar had a moat built around the arena to protect the spectators from the animals. They also had sea battles in an arena, which could be flooded to take warships. Animals fighting each other to the death. Bear against buffalo, buffalo against elephant, elephants against rhinoceros. Crocodiles, giraffes, hippopotamuses and ostriches. Hippopotami and ostriches. Crocodiles were tricky because they didn't survive very well when taken out of Africa. One of the lot spoiled the fun by refusing to eat. You used to have men against panthers, lions, leopards, and tigers, but the men were usually heavily armed with spears, flaming torches, bows, lances, and daggers. Some even took a pack of hounds into the arena to help them. Hounds are dogs. They were in no more danger than the audience. One spectator made a joke about the Emperor Domitian. He was taken out of the crowd and thrown to a pack of dogs. Men with cloaks against bulls, the kind you can still in Spain see today. Men fighting bears with their bare fists. 5,000 beasts killed in one day of 80 AD in the Colosseum of Rome. They also had some amazing acts, not just the fighting. So not every show in the arena was violent. Some of the acts used tame animals. Now, tame means that they can be controlled by humans or they're not as wild. And they did tricks that you may have seen in circuses in present day. So the spectators could be amused by teams of tame panthers pulling chariots, a lion releasing a live hare from its mouth after it had caught it, a tiger licking the hand of his trainer, elephants kneeling in the sand in the front of the emperor, or elephants tracing Latin words in the sand with their trunks. And lastly, petrifying plays. So the Romans liked to visit the open-air theatres to watch plays. There were theatres in many of the bigger British towns, but if the plays were anything like the plays back in Rome, they would be banned today for being too violent. The actors had real fights on stage. Then Emperor Domitian allowed a real death on the stage. At the end of the play Gladiators, the villain has to be crucified, tortured, and torn apart by a bear. The actor playing the villain left the stage, and his place was taken by a criminal who was under the sentence of death. The really rotten Romans enjoyed watching this horrible spectacle. Then, of course, the Romans used the arenas as an excuse to execute people they didn't like. They put men, women, and children in with wild animals, sometimes just for a simple crime of being Christians. Strangely, it was the Christian religion that finally put an end to the massacres. When the emperors became Christian, they banned the bloodthirsty events. And on October the 1st AD 326, Emperor Constantine put a stop to gladiator schools, and by the end of the century, the shows had disappeared from the empire. Okay, so that's our chapter of games finished. We're now onto a chapter called Rotten Food. We've got 2 more weeks left really to get this done, and we've only got that much left to read. So we're doing a good job. Okay then, guys. Hope you're enjoying it. Any questions, please leave a message on Teams. But if not, see you later. Bye-bye.